In my 52 years of museum work, there are so many memories, I'm not sure which lane to turn down. I think each director has left his or her imprint on the collection, and if the collection isn't growing and isn't healthy, then none of the programs, none of the research, none of the publications, none of the exhibitions that build upon it will be healthy. And so keeping the museum collection growing and strong was an interest of mine, just as it had been of my predecessors. One of the things that I've chiefly been interested in is the history of American art. And so I was seeking to build upon a collection that was very strong in European traditions, but less so in the art of the United States. But I was basically looking for strong works. People used to ask me, what are the 10 works that we need? And I always had a list of 11. And it's the hunt, it's the pursuit of objects, but also of excellence that made those years in the museum director's chair such a rewarding one for me. The Georgia O'Keeffe watercolor is one of my proudest acquisitions. She had been a long-time interest of mine, and so the inclination to acquire an O'Keeffe was no surprise. What was a surprise was to find it in a San Francisco gallery devoted to contemporary art. We had, fortunately, an endowed fund that had lately been established by Letha Churchill Walker, and so I was delighted to be able to apply it toward this major acquisition. And it's that kind of endowment that makes possible on an ongoing basis the pursuit of excellence in the collection. And I'm glad to see that that essential work is ongoing until the collections continue growing. No, one of the things that comes to mind was buying against fashion, working hard to find objects of quality that may have somehow escaped attention of the moment, but still are deserving of preservation and ultimately, we hope, revived interest. I've acquired Will Lowe's painting at auction, and this picture of Christ and the Magdalene was not to everybody's taste in the 1970s or 80s when it came up for sale. I was never certain whether I'd made a mistake or had really pulled off a coup, but I wanted to have a chance to ponder the Will Lowe and to see what it was that made his contemporaries so appreciative of it and why it would have been so neglected circa 1970, 1980. I should add here that the works in this selection were purposely made from storage, works not regularly on view. This is not necessarily my judgment on the best works in the collection. These are my favorite works that I came upon. Every curator has a fetish, and I like the unexpected, the weird, whether it's Elihu Vedder's Weird Lost Mind or the hairy shoe subject of Ed Paschke. I've always trusted my weak knees, and I know when I've found it, if I begin to shake figuratively, you somehow get a physical response to a retinal experience. That is, looking at works such as these, but each somehow made my knees weak when I found them in the storerooms and thought they ought briefly to see the light of day. I think the thing I am proudest of is twofold. The collections that have been developed here and other museums I've been associated with, and the students that I've had the opportunity and the privilege to teach. The latter has provided me the opportunity to use the collections that I've previously had some responsibility for. I think that art history taught from slides and books alone is a very different pursuit than that which is based upon the object. And you have thousands of objects here that can inspire millions of ideas. And I feel like I had the good fortune to touch the future of future curators, future professors, future directors, even as I held the past in my hand, the historical objects from which we taught, so that past and future are joined in this position called professor, called director, call it what you will, but a happy conjunction of the two, and the opportunity to work and the privilege to work with collections and students like these.